If you've been scrolling through endless subwoofer listings, watching video after video of guys bragging about 10-inch monsters and ultra-deep bass, and you still feel like you're not sure which box actually makes sense for your room, this review should clear that up. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last few weeks setting up a modest home theater in a 12 by 15 foot living room, swapping a couple of different subs, and listening to everything from orchestral scores to low-end hip-hop. The goal was to see whether the SVS SB5000R evolution lives up to its reputation without forcing you to overhaul your entire system. First off, let's talk about what the SB5000 actually does in a real-world setup. The unit is a sealed box design, which means the bass it produces is tight and fast rather than the boomy, rattling type you get from ported cabinets. In my listening sessions, that translated to an instant, clean impact on action movies. The explosions felt like a punch rather than a low-frequency hum. When I turned the volume down to a comfortable 75% for a TV night, the sub still kept the rumble in the background without muddying dialogue, something many larger, ported subs struggle with in smaller rooms. One of the biggest headaches with any sub is getting it to play nicely with the rest of your speakers. The SB5000 tries to solve that with its auto EQ room correction. You just launch the SVS app, let the built-in mic do a quick sweep, and the software adjusts the phase and level to match your room's dimensions. In practice, the correction was subtle but noticeable. After the sweep, the bass blended more naturally with the front left and front right speakers, and I didn't have to spend an hour fiddling with phase switches or manually tweaking crossover points. If you're someone who doesn't want to become a one-person acoustic lab, that automation is a genuine time saver. Now, who should actually consider dropping $2,000 plus on this sub? If you already own a high-end AV receiver, a pair of quality floor-standing speakers, and you watch a lot of movie content or listen to music that relies on deep, articulate bass, think Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, Hans Zimmer scores, or modern electronic tracks, then the SB5000 is a logical upgrade. Its 15-inch glass fiber composite cone is lightweight yet stiff, which helps it move quickly and recover fast between notes. That translates to a more realistic bass feel when you're watching a space battle scene. The low frequencies accelerate and decelerate with precision rather than just growling in the background. On the other side of the coin, if your primary use is casual TV watching, YouTube videos, or a small bedroom setup, you might be overpaying. The sealed design, while great for accuracy, does need a bit of power to push that 500-watt RMS rating to its fullest. In a cramped space with limited amp headroom, you could end up with a sub that's mostly idle, and you won't be harvesting its full potential. In that scenario, a more modest 12-inch sealed or even a ported 10-inch model could give you enough impact for less money and less power demand. A practical strength I noticed right away is the internal acoustic insulation. The cabinet is heavily reinforced, which essentially eliminates rattling that some cheaper subs suffer from when you crank the volume. When I ran the sub at full blast during a gaming session, there was no audible cabinet vibration in the room, which means you can place it against a wall or even a corner without worrying about that booming echo you sometimes hear in cheaper designs. The dual voice coil configuration also gives you flexibility in wiring the sub to a biamp or to match the impedance of your amp, which is a nice touch for audiophiles who like to fine-tune their system. The downside is that the SB5000 is a fairly large, heavy piece of equipment. Even though the cone itself is lightweight, the overall cabinet weight pushes past 120 pounds. If you're renting or anticipate moving the system often, that could be a logistical nightmare. Also, the sealed box design, while precise, doesn't deliver the same room-filling feel that a ported sub of comparable size can. In a large, open-plan living area, you might need to add a second sub to achieve the same overall output you'd get from a single larger ported box. In short, the SB5000 excels when you have a controlled listening environment, but it isn't the most forgiving in big, echoey spaces. Another practical point is the connectivity. The SVS app lets you control volume, phase, and even the auto EQ from your phone, which feels modern and convenient. The sub also includes line level and speaker level inputs, so you can drop it into almost any system without needing an external crossover. The only thing I wish was a bit more straightforward is the rear panel labeling. The ports are clearly marked, but the diagram in the manual could be clearer for those who aren't used to swapping cables behind a receiver. From a value perspective, you're paying for a combination of engineering and brand trust. The glass fiber composite cone and reinforced basket are not just marketing.